I really hate when I hear other realtors insist that it's a great time to buy when they don't even know what the potential buyer's situation is. The truth is that every single buyer situation is different, and there are many factors to consider to determine whether it's the right time to buy for you. Hey everybody, I'm Haarer, realtor at Sotheby's International Realty in Denver, Colorado, tackling the frequent question, is it a good time to buy a home? The truth is, it depends on every single different buyer situation. So here at the halfway point of 2022, as the market is making an interesting shift, we really need to ask ourselves about several different factors to answer that question. We're talking about what your personal finances are, what your timeline is, what are your individual goals, what does your family need and want. All of these things will be able to answer the question for you as to whether or not it's a good time to buy. Before we jump into the video, I want to hear more about how you're feeling about the market. What are you reading? What are you seeing out there? What questions do you have about jumping into the market as a buyer or a seller? Please leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of this, or reach out to me directly. My contact information is in the description. All right, let's get into it. Is it a good time to buy? And we'll start with factor number one, which is timing. You've probably been reading a lot about how the housing market is changing right now, and many people are recalling 2008 when we had a massive housing market crash. All signs point to the fact that we are not going to see anything close to what happened in 2008. In fact, it's predicted by many that housing prices will continue to increase in the back half of 2022. So if you dispute that in any way, please leave a comment below. I'm happy to get into it with you, respectfully, hopefully, but for all intents and purposes, there's no indication that housing values are going to fall. However, the market is cooling down, and we are seeing a slowing of that appreciation and that growth in the coming year. So knowing that homes are not appreciating in value at a rapid rate, if you are only planning to live in your home that you buy for a year or two, it's probably not a good time to buy. We really want to be in a home for 4 or 5 years to give enough time in the market to have your home appreciate. If you turn around and sell your home in 2 years, well, you're not seeing the same appreciation we saw in 2020 and 2021, where you could turn around and make a healthy profit. If the market only jumps 3, 4, 5 percentage points in terms of appreciation and value, by the time you pay all of your fees and closing costs in 2 years to sell your home, there may not be very much meat on the bone. You're probably not making a very strong investment. There are several factors. In some instances that might make sense, but generally speaking, 2 years may not be enough time to feel comfortable buying a home right now. So if your plan is to be in the home for 4, 5 plus years, it's probably a good time to look into your options and explore some other factors that we'll talk about in just a minute. And one more thought on timing. Don't try to time the market. Don't wait for the housing market to go down to buy. It's too difficult to do. This is not the stock market. We know that home values go up and down year to year depending on what is happening in the surrounding environment, but we know one thing for sure, and that is over time, real estate appreciates. There is plenty of value in your home over the course of 5+ years. Okay, so what about interest rates? This is factor number 2. Yes, interest rates are up. That's the big story right now, but don't expect those historically low 2.5% and 3% interest rates that we saw in the last year that created this housing frenzy to come back anytime soon. We are in a new interest rate environment for the foreseeable future. Things are getting a little bit more normal in this housing market. So given that, you have to really think about what you can afford with the current interest rates. We've talked a lot about this on this channel, about how a 1% increase in interest rates reduces your buying power by 20%. So if a month ago, let's say you were pre-approved for a $600,000 home, and this month or 2 months down the line, you can only afford a $500,000 home, is that the right home for you? If you look out in the market and you see these homes priced at $500,000, does that generally fit the needs that you and your family have? Is it something that you can live in and do some cosmetic renovations along the way? Is it something that you can live in for a couple of years and then hold it as an investment property for many more years to come? You'll certainly make a ton of money doing that. If not, it may be time to sit back and say, I'm going to save for another 4, 5, 6 months and then see what the market is doing then. Keep saving money. Get some cash together to push yourself up into those higher price points and see if you can afford something down the line. Generally speaking, I say speak with your lender and your realtor every quarter if that's the situation for you. Things are in flux right now. There are plenty of changes happening. Stay up to date with what you can afford, what's happening out there in the market, what kind of inventory is out there, and what advantages you have as a buyer as the market shifts. Now, know that interest rates will continue to respond to inflationary pressures in the market, meaning it's possible they could go up as the year goes on, but if they continue to go up, I believe they will have to come down at some point. So, think about people who in the 80s and 90s purchased homes at 10, 14, 15%, and were able to refinance over time as interest rates dropped. They dropped their monthly payment, continued to build a whole lot of equity and wealth in their homes. Now, I don't want you to go out and buy a home expecting the interest rate to drop. Make sure you are comfortable with your payment. We'll talk about that in just a bit, but know that this higher interest rate environment isn't going to be forever. They can always change, move up and down, and you can respond by refinancing. And do me a favor, put a comment below about what interest rate you feel you'd be most comfortable with. Have you done the math on that? Go to a mortgage calculator on the internet and plug it in to see where you'd be or what would make the most sense for you. And that brings me to my next factor, a short but very important one, and that is your financial situation. Lenders will tell you exactly how much you can afford in terms of your limit a month. The question is, are you comfortable making that payment every single month? You don't want to be in a mortgage where you're paying so much a month that you can't do anything else. You can't put any money into your reserves. You can't start building a savings fund for college or whatever it is, but that big vacation. You want to still be able to live your life. So don't get into a situation where you're paying too much because the interest rate is too high for you and your personal situation. Ask your lenders about options to buy down the loan to make it less expensive. We'll talk about that in another video. Let me know if you have questions about what that is in the comments below. Plenty of options in terms of loan products out there to make it slightly more affordable, but bottom line is make sure that you are comfortable with that monthly payment. In turn, you want to think about what is more valuable to your financial situation. Is it buying a new home or moving from a rental to your first home? Generally speaking, owning a home is much more valuable than renting over time. Of course, you're just lighting money on fire, giving it to a landlord, making them rich every single month, where you could be building equity in your very first home. But again, you have to ask yourself if that payment makes sense for you. If you are a homeowner, there's a good chance that you've refinanced over the last couple of years at a very low interest rate. So you're probably more asking yourself, is it a good time to hold on to the property I have and use it as an investment, or take all of the incredible equity I have out of it and put it into something new because I have new needs? Which brings me to the next factor. And that next factor is your goals and needs. Generally speaking, homeowners, yes, they want to make a sound investment, continue to build their wealth, but they want a great place to call home and build some memories with their family. So if you are parents who are expecting a child in a cramped condo or small home, yeah, it might be time to start doing some legwork to find something before the little one comes. It only gets more challenging from then. Maybe your kids have flown the coop and you're looking to downsize, or maybe you're tired of doing yard work and are looking for something with an HOA. It's okay in this environment to make a move for life. You have to be able to be comfortable in your home and be getting most of what you want out of your property. So this is another signal that it's a good time to start exploring your options and then consider all of those other factors to make a final decision. The final factor I think that all buyers should be considering right now is the reduced competition. The last couple of years, this housing market has been so insane because interest rates were at historic 2.5% and 3% lows. What does that do? It has buyers flood the market and compete against each other. And what does that do to the initial buy? It makes people spend $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100,000 over asking up front. That's cash out of pocket. Well, guess what? While your interest rate might be a little bit higher, yeah, your monthly payment might be a little bit higher, you're not coming out of pocket tens of thousands of dollars over the market value to get into these homes right now. So, it's all relative when we talk about how this housing market is changing. Know that the reduced buyer pool increases inventory. There are more homes to look at, and you might have the opportunity to start asking for some repairs. People in the last couple of years, buyers have not been able to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, can you please fix this significant issue with your HVAC for me? They've just been saying, we'll take care of it. We know you don't want to. We really need this house. Now it's a time to have some negotiations and have a more normal back and forth between buyers and sellers. Bottom line answer to the question, is it a good time to buy? It depends. It depends on what you need. It depends on what your family needs. It depends on what you are comfortable paying. And it depends on what your timeline is. Consider all of these things. Get a good team around you. Find a good lender who is going to teach you and walk you through this process. Find a good realtor who's going to guide you to the perfect home. All of these things are going to be so important moving forward because we are in a new housing market that is here to stay. Let's work with it together. Thanks so much. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of this video and what you want to see on the next one. We'll see you then.